Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Welcome, Pat. Hi, how are you, my friend?
Hello. I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Doing well.
How was your week? It's been 2 weeks. We missed everybody.
Yeah. Well, since we started doing this cocktail thing for the show, all of this was purchased. And so all week I've been experimenting with cocktails and
I love it.
Drinking a little more than normal at home, but
I bet
moderation.
You're way happier.
I'm so much better to get along.
So much happier.
My asshole cat even likes me now.
Yeah, no more poo on the pillow.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm definitely a better mommy and wife when I drink. Definitely. There's no doubt about it.
Liquid therapy.
Yeah. Liquid therapy is where it's at. I love that you still have the cocktail cart. I wish I could. I have so little room in here, but also all of my cocktail. I mean, I have like the essentials over here, but I gotta spruce up my background here because I like the way yours looks a lot more than I like the way mine looks.
Well, having been at your house, I can vouch that you certainly have more cocktail apparatus than I do. Lila had can I just say this? She had the machine that was like Nespresso coffee, but for cocktails where you put in a little pod that says, Moscow Mule, and you put a pod in and it spits out a Moscow Mule. It's incredible.
It was so cool. I called it Jeeves. It was like our butler. We got it at the beginning of COVID and they discontinued it. So now I have all these pods that we haven't used, which I should use, but I could actually just like poke a hole in it and suck it down because they're pretty good. I think each cocktail ended up being more expensive than it was worth it for most people, including us, which is why we sort of stopped using it even before they discontinued it. But it was such a cool idea. It was like a lavender martini. Boom. Yeah.
It was really fun to have like 20 of those drinks at Lila's house.
That was fun. When are you coming back down to LA? We got to do it
this summer for sure. We need to do a live show or two.
Yeah. We need to see Tina. I was supposed to see Tina Desiree Berg, our mutual friend. And my life just keeps getting out of control a little bit with scheduling. So, but we have to get the whole gang together again. We have to Ron Placone and all the LA group.
So I need to pour my drink, and I know we have this new cocktail thing.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so this is our new thing. We have a different cocktail every week. Let's see our cocktail of the week this week.
Wait a minute. It's a bit long. Short. I think that needs to be shortened.
I mean, that last squirt I could probably do without, but it's a whole thing. All right, so our cocktail of the week, let's put it up here. It is whoops, are we both clicking on it? The Punch Up Pod Bourbon Maple Peach Punch. A Nazi. Haha. And it's a little fuzzy for my eyes. 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of peach schnapps, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce of maple syrup, a peach slice for garnish, and ice. In a cocktail shaker, combine the bourbon, peach schnapps, lime juice, and maple syrup. Fill the shaker with ice and shake for 10 seconds. Strain into a glass filled with ice. Garnish with a peach slice. Punch a Nazi. And enjoy. Let's see your drink.
I've already pre-shaken, so
yeah, same.
I can vouch that this is a pretty tasty concoction. I made a couple of them in here, but
I am.
Yeah, it's a nice little. It's kind of a wintry drink because of the maple flavor.
Oh yeah, interesting. Gotcha.
All right.
Let's see if yours is as tall as mine. All right, yeah, we got it. Cheers, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Yours looks peachier than mine because I'm doing the sugar-free peach version.
I garnished with a frozen peach because I always have frozen fruit around for smoothies.
That's classy. I like it. I don't have a garnish. All right, so Hi everybody. It's so good to see you. I'm so sorry about last week, and just I'm putting it out there that our schedule over the next couple of months might be a little bit weird. So please hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell, because sometimes we might have to go on a Tuesday or Thursday over the next couple of months. Because as you all know, I'm a baseball mom and my kids have games. My junior in high school has games here, and my college baseball player has a tournament in Tucson. So I will be heading there in a couple weeks. So our schedule is just going to be a little bit off. So please make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you know when we're going live.
Absolutely. And we also are going to start doing occasional impromptu shows where we just cover an article, cover an issue, something that comes up that's current live.
So we're not saving everything for the week, because it gets a little like there's so much to, and we're just chatting, but there's so much to talk about, and I always feel like we're missing out on so many things that we want to hit. So yes. So that said, before we get to the wheel, I just wanted to shout out, because this was like late breaking news last night. Here's a Let's Go Brandon I think we can all get behind. Which way, Chicago? Voters ousted incumbent Lori Lightfoot in the first round mayoral race. Now they face a stark ideological choice. So there is the Paul Vallis, who is the far right Democrat corporate, basically Republican candidate. And then there is Brandon Johnson, who is a organizer, a member of Chicago Teachers Union, a good lefty progressive, and we will see what the Democratic establishment, which side they come down on. Is it going to be another India Walton and Nina Turner situation where they throw all their weight behind the Republican, or what?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think in a lot of ways we have more power in a position like a mayor than a senator or a Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could get a progressive governor somewhere,
yep,
that could really be a game changer. Like imagine Sharma
Sawant. Yeah.
I will never get her name right.
That's okay.
I mean, she could, somebody like that in a position where you don't need to get the buy-in of your party at all.
Yeah.
They have tremendous power. So
absolutely. And Chicago has such, Chicago politics really do have a huge impact on the nation. I mean, obviously Obama came out of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, Daley, right? So like it does have quite an impact. So I've already seen the screeds about like, oh God, here comes Bernie to stump for him, and AOC, like the crappy, corporate Democrats are already shaking a little.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously Chicago, for people that don't know, it's notoriously one of the most corrupt cities. And, the Rahm Emanuel comes from there because it's just incredibly corrupt, so.
Yeah. And there is that whole party structure apparatus there, but we'll see. Let's hope. All right. So should we get to our wheel?
I think we should. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, one problem with this drink is it goes down really, really fast. Way faster than my vodka diet tonics. I'm already almost done.
I completely agree. I'm in the same boat. I'll have finished 2 of these before I probably would have normally finished a beer. So I may have to switch to a beer after this one.
All right. Okay, let's see what we got. We got Trainwreckers, 2024 Neolib or Bust, Cult Culture, and COVID Denialopoly, and Timeline Cleanse. Let's spin the wheel.
Yeah, baby.
I actually think that's really totally appropriate after taking off 2 weeks or a full week. I feel like that's the way to get right into the game here. Let's get it going.
A punishment shot or a reward, depending on your views.
It's a reward.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. What's going to happen with mixing bourbon and vodka?
Whoa.
Whoa. What?
Hello.
What just happened there? Fire that man.
Yeah, baby.
I'm mixing all the up.
Oh, no. Okay, here we go. Wait, I'm trying to read all the comments. I've like forgotten my whole mojo in the week we've been gone. I'm like, wait, how am I supposed to handle all this?
You're on air. People are watching you right now.
People are watching.
In case you're wondering.
I'm trying to read the comments. Oh, are you ready?
I'm just pouring. Yeah.
All right.
I got a whole bar here now. It's like, it's a lot more work.
Yeah, it's
with the
kind
full
of fun.
bar.
You brought the fun with you. All right, cheers. Oh my God.
Still
I
tastes
should
good
have
right now.
taken my Pepsid AC if I'm going to be mixing all these things. All right, let's just try it again.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
All right, now we're in it. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how we're all feeling. All right, should we just get like a state of where the corporate media thinks we are for the Democratic
let's do that.
for 2024. Here we go.
You argue this in your new piece, quote, there has to be one good challenger, X, out there from the party's supposed deep bench, right? Someone who's compelling, formidable, and younger than, say, 65, someone who is not Marianne Williamson, someone who would be unfailingly gracious to Biden and reverential of his career even while trying to end it. Challenger X could earn goodwill by campaigning with class and expressing unrelenting gratitude to Biden. She could simply nod and shrug in response to the various admonitions, emphasize her own credentials and the grave threat posed by Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, or any other Republican, say repeatedly that she would do whatever was necessary to help and support the president if primary voters nominated him again.
I mean, they could do all of that. At
He's
the end of the
mentioning
day,
it's a she.
At the end of the day, he or she could do that. But Mark, the argument that I usually hear from Democrats are, he beat Trump. If any of those other people had run against Trump, Trump would have beat him in Wisconsin, would have beat him in Michigan, would have beat him in Pennsylvania. So, is there not a stronger argument in a Democratic primary? Then I beat Trump. I mean, what beats that argument?
Well, what I think that's sort of voters get to decide that. I mean, he beat Trump in 2020. That was, I think, the crowning achievement of Joe Biden's career. And he might be called upon to do it again. I mean, that, could be his main argument. What I'm arguing is that he was sort of running as a bridge in 2020. At what point, when you're in your 80s, does this become a bridge too far? And the she that you were mentioning before. I mean, I was mentioning a bunch of names. Gretchen Whitmer happened to be the previous person I mentioned. So that explains the pronoun. I'm not favoring anyone here. But I do think that, look, I mean, Democrats have a very unique situation. I mean, yes, there's a tradition, certainly over the last 30 years, that presidential incumbents don't get primaried. And there's for good reason for that. I mean, it's very harmful to the incumbent. But ultimately, Democrats with Biden have a very unique situation, which is that, one, there's this incredible disconnect between the gratitude that most Democrats have for Biden, his career, the last few years, and how many don't want him to run. I mean, this is over 50, even 60 in some polls percent. And the other part of this, is that, it's the age question, which I know is uncomfortable to talk about, but, it's a huge issue for most Democrats.
Well, I don't know if it should be. I think age is what it is, and we keep telling people what it is when we shouldn't be. Well, I mean, there are some people who are at their best in their 80s.
Nancy Pelosi.
My mom was using a chainsaw and doing her best work in her 80s.
Nancy Pelosi, without chainsaw, was doing a pretty damn good job in her 80s as well.
Oh my God, we could have done the whole show just on this 3-minute clip. Shout out, by the way, to Case Study QB. Thank you. We use your clips so often. Really appreciate you. Okay, where do you want to begin? How about? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want to begin with just from the beginning. First off, so this guy's lobbying for somebody to get on stage who basically sucks up to Joe Biden. Like,
gracious,
his phrase was
unrelated.
I wrote it down too. I'm like, what is it? I wrote it too. I can't even remember.
Unrelenting gratitude.
Gratitude.
Deferential, gracious, like a monarchy.
And he clearly put an asterisk there, like not like Marianne Williams, as if she is out there bashing Joe Biden. She's out there kissing Joe Biden's ass as it is. And they're like, it can't be as left as the person who's already kissing Joe Biden's ass.
I mean, has to be gracious, deferential, right away says, I'll do whatever I can to help elect you. If something, if you end up being the nominee, like they are already pulling out all the stops to make sure that it's not a real primary. Like, what's your idea of politics where you don't fight for any policies that matter to you or to the people you're hoping to represent, where 70% of Democrats don't want Biden to run, and Joe, whatever the hell his name is laughing like, what's wrong with them? Who else could have beaten Trump? I mean, by the way, like Bernie beat Trump in every single poll when it was a matchup between him and Trump or Biden and Trump. Bernie beat him way more than Biden did. I mean,
if you're going to try to win the primary, you are not going to express unrelenting gratitude. Have we learned nothing? Did they learn nothing from like watching Trump come in and go, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, this guy, he just shredded them. You don't kiss their ass.
Because why are you running if you're deferential to the person? Why bother primarying him?
Well, they changed all their theories on politics that existed forever, which was in politics, a staple has always been, okay, you want to have a tough primary so that all your flaws can be exposed and overcome in the primary.
Before the general,
Before the general. So Trump doesn't have this level, when he levels the attack that your primary challenger already
You've already handled it.
You've already debunked it. It's not a big gotcha moment. You're not going to get slayed by Trump because he brought up your tax record from the 40s or whatever the hell it is.
Right. Yeah. And then if you ever bring up any differences between yourself and the person you're running against, you're showing disunity. Can't we all just get along? Like, I honestly, this idea, it's just a team to them. It's so ridiculous. And we saw Biden confronted by I think it was a reporter, although who knows, but that 70% of Democrats don't want him to run, and he says, watch me. I don't care about democracy. Watch me. They don't want me. What is politics if it's, I mean,
well, and I think they do make the right argument in a way, is that age doesn't have to matter.
Right.
You can have an old candidate that's as sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Joe Biden. The public believes that because they have seen Joe Biden not be all there. Let's be real about it.
Well, and they keep saying it's age, which of course I do think that his, sundowning or whatever they call sunsetting mind is a product of his age, because 10 years ago he wasn't like that. But as you said, there are people who are in their 70s and 80s who are still sharp as a tack. And but they don't want, with Trump, they could make their medical diagnoses from afar. But with Biden, if you say anything about the fact that he can't get through a sentence without somebody prompting him, or he can't find his way off a stage, or he nods off in the middle of, the UN meetings, then you're being ageist. But that's not, this is the leader of the free world, the most powerful person in the world. We should expect him to be able to draw a clock. We should. So that's a big mess. So, all right,
I don't think we should show it all, but here's a little Joe Biden. Here's the 80-year-old that's sharp as a tack.
And I had a nurse named Pearl Nelson, military. She'd come in and do things that I don't think you learn in medical school, nursing school. She'd whisper in my ear. I couldn't understand them. She'd whisper, she'd lean down. She'd actually breathe on me to make sure that there was a connection, a human connection. She even went home and brought back her pillow from her own bed because she knew the one I had that wasn't comfortable. But I'm not joking.
Oh my God. I just vomited in my mouth. How is he still talking about things like this in 2023 when there have been so many sex pest rumors, sexual assault rumors, accusations, and he's still going to get up there on a stage and barely stammer through some skeevy, smarmy, just awful.
And the thing that all these news shows are ignoring about him is that, like, why they won't talk about why he got elected, why he beat Trump the first time around.
Yeah.
Beat Trump because we're in the middle of COVID and Trump was an absolute fucking idiot on COVID. And it was clear as day to even, I mean, I falsely thought at least Biden, I didn't vote for Biden, but I thought at least he would be better on COVID and listening to some basic science stuff.
Yeah.
And instead, he's ignored it all every bit as much as Republicans would have.
Yeah.
So that's what put him over the top. That's gone now.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, and you know, just the fact that they're going to keep saying who else could beat Trump. I mean, that's going to be it's going to be this manufactured narrative about electability, which is self-fulfilling.
Yeah. And you know, we're all kind of ambivalent on Bernie, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, as far as running, I'm not going to get out there and pump him up and do things I did the last election. But I mean, the reality is he still would beat Trump. If you put him head to head, he's going to beat
Oh my
Trump.
God. 100%.
No questions asked.
They're already leaving him off most polls because they know that, which is also why they're talking about age, right? Because that would, like, they're just trying
in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In general.
Not your specific
mental incompetence. Yeah. But here's the latest Harvard-Harris poll. Not great for Democrats. Donald Trump, our little logo is above it. And so now I can't even see, but the only person, sorry. Oh my God. Too many buttons for me. There we go. I beat you.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Here. Remember when we did the marijuana week?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
That's for all our pot smoking friends.
Oh my God, Pat.
I'm not going to push the button. You push it.
Okay, so Donald Trump is a 2% positive. Ron DeSantis 13% positive, but with a lower favorable. So like it's a kind of a weird gap. Then Elon Musk, whatever, and then Bernie. Bernie is the next person who could possibly run, and he is with the highest favorables. And I mean, again, it's like 14 years in a row now he's been the most popular politician. They are leaving him off almost every poll I see, like the Morning Consult and all that, because the truth is, it doesn't matter if it's Bernie. I know we all know this. It doesn't matter if it's Bernie. It's the policies that he stands for and espouses sometimes that are popular. And that's what they're really reacting against. And they just don't want those policies anywhere in the mix. So they're just going to focus on who can beat evil Trump.
Yeah. And they're kind of trying to link Marianne Williamson to Bernie's policies and Bernie's beliefs and leftist stuff. And I mean, the reality is she's no Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry, people that love her. I don't hate her. I think she's means well. But you know, by making her the face of the Bernie stuff, it's another way to take down the Bernie stuff. Because if she's
exactly,
and if she's deferential to Biden, it's like everyone on the left should be deferential to Biden too. It's the same stuff we've been through.
Exactly. Yeah, they're using her as a proxy, not a straw man, but sort of to target all of their anti-Bernie screed. And unfortunately, as you said, she has had plenty of kind words to say about Biden. There are aspects of her I really do like, but just like with Bernie and all the progressives, she, has said that he's doing a fairly good job, that he has some good progressive policies, that, they're running cover for him in a way that shows they are not serious about taking him down. It's like adding to the discourse. Like, let's just get these ideas out there. And I think, when you look at somebody like Shama Swan, who takes it very seriously and is fighting for an improvement on material conditions, like very tangible change, or, oh, I just want to get some ideas out there on the stage. And I mean, I know we talk about this all the time, but you don't need to convince the public anymore that we need Medicare for all. The majority of the whole public, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, they're convinced. Same with, Green New Deal, same with a living wage, same with,
Right.
Legalizing pot, reducing, money going to cops and having it go to other programs. Like all of that's popular. The only people it's not popular with are the people in the halls of Congress because of their donors.
Yeah. I mean, what you need to do is convince the public that you are a safe bet to beat the Republican. That is it, because that's how they turned the entire public against Bernie within a week.
Yeah.
They convinced them that he could lose to Trump, and that was it. And they got everybody to line up and say that. So if you're already, if someone in the public is inclined to believe that argument that, oh my God, only Biden can beat Trump. Well, you have to take Biden down. You have to show that he's not the guy who can do it. You need to attack his weaknesses. You need to expose his weaknesses. And in 2020, those weaknesses were that he wasn't very credible. They were that he was out there sniffing hair every 5 seconds. They were that he wrote the crime bill. They were, all these things that Bernie didn't attack him on. Made him a viable candidate, where Bernie could have flipped the whole script and said, look at all these reasons Trump is going to shred this guy. If he had done that, he'd probably be president. I'll be honest.
I agree.
They might, they might have found another way to take him out.
I mean, probably what would have happened, as I'm sure you remember, is at the beginning when it seemed, not the beginning, but after when Bernie really had momentum in February of 2020 and then won the first 3 states, both Hillary Clinton and Biden were asked if they would get behind him if he were the nominee, and neither one of them said that they would. And they knew that meant it was Trump versus Bernie, and they would rather throw their hat in. And Howard Schultz, also Mike Bloomberg. I mean, so
for the Democratic Party to start lining up behind Mike Bloomberg, which they were starting to do, it's just
anybody but Bernie. Yeah. And it's because, I mean, the reason that Bloomberg spent $1 billion of his own dollars was it was worth flushing that down the toilet and not having Bernie be president. And they were that worried that Bernie would beat Trump. It's not because they thought he would lose to Trump. It's because they thought he would win. That is
and for Bloomberg, you're right. It was just simple math question. Spend a little, which is $1 billion, to make more than $1 billion by not having Bernie there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we need Molotov cocktails. All right. So and unfortunately, we've got Bernie saying that Biden's a more progressive president than he was as a senator, which, I mean, it's only in headlines. It's not in any reality. Then we've got these headlines. Joe Biden is Bernie Sanders from the Wall Street Journal. So take that with a large fucking barrel of salt. Pramila Jayapal, head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Let's get him back. We can protect abortion rights, raise the minimum wage, and take massive climate action. She said that last week. She missed the first 2 years of his administration, apparently.
I mean, somehow the public needs to when I say public, I mean normie Dem friends and everyday Democrats. There's got to be a way to wake them up to some of this. I don't know what it is, because they're so prone to all the propaganda the minute it gets thrown at them. But I mean, the Congressional Progressive Caucus is not remotely progressive. And so
at all.
When you see this list, these people we just showed, you got Bernie, you got Jayapal, you got everybody saying Biden's great. Why would anyone vote for a progressive on the left when the progressives think he's okay? So why care? And Bernie's not fighting for COVID stuff. I mean, he could be leveraging that right now, especially with his position as chair of the Senate Health Committee, to bring attention to needed protections, that we shouldn't end this emergency order.
Right.
not emergency order. What's it called? Emergency
State of emergency declaration.
State of
Yeah.
The emergency declaration. We shouldn't be ending that. He's fucking silent on this. He has the power to call hearings on this stuff publicly.
Yeah.
Nothing from him. So why would anybody who's a normie Dem think we need these protections when, like, even your crazy lefty Bernie guy who has all this power isn't using any of it?
Yep. It is an enormous abdication of duty. And I really think that they have done so much damage to the progressives, left, whatever you want to call it. I mean, none of these words even matters that much anymore because of the damage that's been done. Yeah. When you have them saying that he's the next FDR, we have to get behind him, and that nobody in the Democratic Party who, you know, when AOC first came into Congress, she said that she should be in any other country, she'd be in a different party from Joe Biden. And why isn't anybody in the Democratic Party standing up to say we need to fight for, this isn't supposed to be some club where you just go and have cocktails with friends. Like, that's what we're doing. They're supposed to be fighting for policies. Yeah.
The top policy has always been Medicare for all. Well, if you're not really leveraging the pandemic to get us closer to Medicare for all, what the fuck are you doing? What in the fuck are you doing? You literally are the chair of the Senate Health Committee. You could not be in a better position to call this stuff out right now to get us closer to Medicare for all.
Yeah. And, you know, because I always forget the town that it happened in. Sorry, I'm looking through all of this. And, you know, so two things. I want to come back to Libby, Montana. But yeah, I do think that the two reasons that Bernie dropped out, one, I think he really just did not want to be the Ralph Nader, who wasn't even to blame. I am not blaming Ralph Nader at all for George W. Bush, but I think it's so ingrained in him that he didn't want that on him. And he did not want to be held responsible by anybody for Trump's win if he won again in 2020. But the other thing was, it was the beginning of a deadly pandemic. We didn't know what was going on. And, you know, I remember because I was doing that Bernie victory captain stuff and like calling people and trying to get them to the polls. And then we were trying to do write-ins so that we could get write-in ballots for people so they didn't have to walk into the polls. And there was then that whole campaign from Biden and what's her name, Simone Sanders, saying that Bernie's saying we should just delay for a few weeks so we could get people mail-in ballots would be the end of democracy. And then Governor Cuomo saying that if we didn't hold the primary, the New York primary on the day it was supposed to be, if we held out just to get those mail-in ballots out to people, he would take away delegates from Bernie. So I do think that part of the reason Bernie just walked away is he didn't want to send people out to die in the middle of the pandemic, and the Democratic Party was willing to kill the hostages.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not going to be critical of that and too much. I mean, it was our opportunity to get stuff done, but life happens. The pandemic happens. There's all these unpredictable moments. And I think he kind of blew in a big way in retrospect.
Yeah.
But let's just, to me, I'm looking at now. And
100%. Yeah.
I don't think Bernie's a sellout. I just think he's now within the group, and he thinks the best way to work with the group and get marginally progressive things passed is to not ruffle their feathers at all.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but as you said, now is the time to do it, because just like, so Libby, Montana had an asbestos poisoning outbreak a few years ago, and Max Baucus, who was their senator, even though before that, like a couple of years before that, he had basically tried to call the cops on people who were agitating in the halls of Congress to get Medicare for all or some kind of single payer bill. And he shut that down. When it came time to help protect the people in Libby, Montana, who were being poisoned by asbestos, they had this, I think it's section 1881A of the Social Security or something, that in a state of emergency, basically they enacted, it's the one town in this whole country that has Medicare for all, because they were going to, they were being poisoned. They all needed healthcare, and it was going to need to go on for a long time. And I know people are talking about it now for East Palestine also. That should be declared a state of emergency. They should have it. Of course, it should be in Flint, Michigan. I mean, first of all, we shouldn't poison our people. I mean, this is just, I can't even believe we're having these conversations. But Jackson, Mississippi, yeah. But everybody should have it. But like this but yes, especially with a global pandemic, this is the time to declare an emergency and get us all healthcare, because once we have it, it'll be much harder to rip it out of people's hands, they know that, which is why they were.
And, the reality is you've got millions of workers are going to fall out of the workplace because of long COVID. And we're just, to do nothing to prevent that, first off, is a crime against humanity. But like realistically, the economy is going to be fucked when you have all these people out of it. So you're starting to see all this propaganda about the economy because they don't, they can't admit that there's any impact to all this COVID stuff,
right?
Or just, the way our economy is shaped to, the success of our economy is based nothing on the middle class, nothing on poor people. It's just based on GDP. It's
right.
Which is how well the rich are doing, essentially.
Yeah.
But, so you're seeing a lot of propaganda, like 3 roommates or 4 jobs are now needed. This is actually not propaganda. That's
this is just telling you the truth. But it's funny that it's coming out through Zillow, who has like embarked on this scheme to find out comps in different neighborhoods, and they buy them all these single family units up with cash and inflate prices, and then they'll like make the next house $15,000 more, which inflates the price of all the other houses that they bought. Like they're the reason that we are going to become a rental BlackRock, right? That we're just going to become a nation of renters that nobody can afford. Forget buying a house. You can't even afford rent.
Yeah. If you have money, you can make money. If you don't have money, you can't afford rent.
Exactly.
That's what we're at.
Hey, but here's some propaganda for you. Hey, fellas, here comes a 60-year career. As people live longer, sorry, I had to take a liquid sip of joy.
I could hear your angst.
Sorry, I hope you all weren't waiting for me to read something. I have to take a shot of vodka. As people live longer, healthier lives, the traditional 40-year career will become a thing of the past, but that's going to require a new mindset and a lot more planning. That is not the reason that we are going to have a 60-year career. We are not living longer, as we know. I think it's the first time in the history of the United States that in several consecutive years, life expectancy has decreased.
I mean, I think it dropped about 2 years since the pandemic, and we don't even have the effects of long COVID. We don't know. Like life expectancy for people who have long COVID could be 5 years. I mean, we literally don't know.
Yep.
But we're seeing all kinds of this stuff. So the good news is to change your mindset. They've got a lot of these great articles.
I know. I love driving in traffic.
Commuting has an upside, and remote workers might be missing out.
I mean, nowhere in any, like when they actually talk to people who are able to work remotely, it is an enormous shift in quality of life. Everybody, I think there's like the only people who don't like it are the bosses and the people who own the office rental spaces.
Yeah, but talk to those people in 60 years. 60 years of working at home. I mean, change your mindset. After 60 years, you might want to see somebody.
What else do we have?
Okay, this one was a little nuanced in fairness, but Harvard researchers show the best way to beat burnout. It's even better than a vacation. So really what they were lobbying for
sabbaticals.
Sabbaticals, paid or not. But that's such a niche. Like you're not going to get a sabbatical from your waitress job, it's unrealistic for the working class to ever take a sabbatical. There's no way that's going to be built into the
structure of your employment. Yeah.
Never going to allow it.
Yeah. They're just throwing stuff at the walls now.
So,
sorry.
Let's stick to let's stick to the realistic things like skipping breakfast.
Wait. Oh, okay, there it goes. To save money, maybe you should. It used to be skip the avocado toast, and now it's just like skip that whole meal entirely. You don't really need. Do you want to live longer and have a long career?
Hey, I don't want to one-up them, but if you want to save more money, skip lunch too. Skip lunch and breakfast.
It's all in my new book. The Great Resignation is now the Great Regret. 80% of job hoppers wish they hadn't quit their old roles, with Gen Z the most regretful. I'd like to really see how those questions were phrased.
I call bullshit on that entirely.
Yeah, without even really
fabricated
looking at
story.
Quiet quitting. Now try quiet thriving. Don't quit. And this was, don't try to just go to work, sit there, advocate for a cause, find one thing you love, craft your job, and cultivate a best friend at work. These and other ways can help you feel more engaged on the job. That is how, don't quit, thrive.
I'm going to quiet thrive.
Dig in harder, work longer, and you too can experience the joy.
What's that song? I'm sorry, there's that song. Boss makes a nickel, I make a dime. I make a nickel, boss makes a dime. That's why I poop on company time.
Always poop on company time.
I'm sorry, but I love that chant.
That's funny. This is my favorite one. This was a good one. This last one. Do you even need underwear? More people who work from home are saving money by going commando. I must not spend enough on my underwear because I don't think that'd make a huge difference in my checking account, but maybe.
Anyway.
I'm
going to combine them all, and I'm going to drive to work with no underwear, no pants, no breakfast.
I just wanted to see if we have any other stuff on 2024. The only thing is there's a lot of talk about DeSantis and Trump. People are saying, oh, DeSantis will be more dangerous than Trump, which I agree with, because he's more like a George W. Bush fascist, where he doesn't write mean tweets, but he is more respectable, and he, bans books and bans whole groups of people and, let it rip in a way that is more palatable to people. However, I think that the fact, and I mean, this is horrible to say, but the fact that he is shorter, I think he's like 5'7", means that if he's on a stage with Trump, who is ruthless and gross, he will just rake the coals with him. I mean, there's already this picture of somebody who wrote this out. Here's DeSantis sporting some nice big new heels for his, what does that say, state tour, for his swing state tour. And he's got like boots with little heels on it. That's the kind of thing that the cool MAGA crowd who loves Trump anyway is going to have a field day with.
Yeah, it's going to devolve into just like 2020.
Yeah.
It's going to be, personalities, all the vile Trump stuff's going to come out. Trump is probably going to win. But the point is that even if he doesn't win, like, the fact that Democrats are preferring DeSantis in a way, like, the nice thing about Trump is you see Trump as who he is. The media reflects on him honestly. His character is out there. But you look at DeSantis, you have to look at him and look at what he's done. He's like Mike Pence. Like Mike Pence would have been way more dangerous as president than Trump is. But if you speak to him, he's very civil. He's cordial. Yeah. He's not crass on any level. And in a way, that's kind of DeSantis. But look at Florida. Look at all the bullshit going on there. Holy crap.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. And again, it's like all the liberals who said, oh, I really miss George W. Bush when Trump was president. And I mean, if you miss George W. Bush, you weren't paying attention. He was way worse.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you reading the comments?
No, I was just thinking, I think we cut it because we have too many damn videos and things, but we had Pelosi was praising Bush this week. So I thought we had.
Loves him. She knew that he lied about weapons of mass destruction and decided not to try to impeach him. That's an impeachable offense. That's a war crime. Lying us into a war.
Is it though?
Yeah, but they just, the only person that is completely like beyond, there are two people, Trump and Bernie, and that's it. Everybody else they can handle. I got to have another shot. I think we should spin the wheel.
All right, let's do the wheel.
Do you have more to say about it? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I could go on for hours without any facts or data or slides and just complain about people.
Let's do it.
Lila, when you and I split up and the show is no longer, that's going to be my show. I'm just going to have my bar. I'm going to turn the camera.
You're never going to lose me. All right, let's go.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, from one bleak thing to the next. Here we go. Okay. There's actually a good, oh no, did it come in? Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. How do you want to get started on this one? Because it's just awful and nothing's gotten better since last week when we nuked a town with chemicals. And I mean, I'm sure everybody understands that what happened was the train crashed. They call it a train bomb because of what it was carrying on it, the toxic chemicals. And instead of stopping down everything and trying to remove the crash and the train and the parts, which would have taken a long time to do with care so that you don't gas your own, city, your country, your people, they blew it up because that way it would clear the way so that the rest of the trains that need to deliver toxic chemicals around the country could have, a clear space to run through the track. So that's how that happened. And now we have people, I mean, I think maybe one way to look at it is the amount of jockeying for like the two different teams, Democrats versus Republicans, and no one wanting to take responsibility and everyone trying to blame people for whom they voted for and for a president who was president 3 years ago and some of the regulations he put into place that still haven't been overturned by our current president.
Well, we're in this place where obviously they thought this would get no attention. And I want to say this is the power, at least of Twitter as we know it. Like, I mean, literally this wouldn't have gotten attention were it not for people on Twitter and social media fighting to get this attention.
The Lever the Lever did some amazing reporting and also Status Quo.
Absolutely.
That's kind of
absolutely.
I mean,
yeah,
that is it.
I mean, this
nobody
this
did
story
anything for 2 weeks.
Was ignored by the press for almost a week. At least, actually, at least a week. They ran a story, but it wasn't, a real news story starts the hour.
Yeah.
And at least you get to it by the end of the hour. But every hour on CNN, if there's something critical, they're going to cover it. And they didn't cover it for 10 days almost.
Yeah.
Biden didn't say anything about it for almost 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so they didn't think this was going to be a story. They didn't think the chemical stuff would even be an issue to them. They just wanted it to go away as fast as possible.
Right.
So they burned all the chemicals.
Allowed the Norfolk Southern to do its own testing, because that always works well when a company regulates itself and say that the water was safe and the air was safe. And then started all the blame that it was actually because of, and Republicans always do this. I mean, Republicans are disgusting. I am not a fan of Republicans. But the deregulation and the allowing for a different kind of, they turn back the higher standard on brakes that should have been in place that would have been helpful. But
it was brakes, and it was also that the chemical companies lobbied to not have these certain chemicals be classified as needing,
and that was under Obama.
As needing to have
the classification,
these protections because they're so dangerous. So without that classification, you didn't need to have the protections on the train. It wasn't that big of a deal. And so that all happened under Obama. I mean, granted, Obama was the one trying to put this rule in place, so it wasn't bad that Obama, I don't blame Obama for this.
No, wait, you have to blame Obama for it because the chemical classification, that happened under Obama when he was lobbied by the companies.
Okay, I blame Obama.
Sorry, sorry. I just want to
edit that out.
Yes, I blame Obama for that for sure. He was the one who put the brakes regulation into place. Trump overturned it. And then I know this is crazy for so many of the libs out there, but we have had a different president for 2 years now who, if it mattered one iota to him, could have changed that regulation back to what the safer brakes would have been, could have not broken a strike, which is one of the most appalling. I mean, I don't know. There's so many things to add to the list. Starting World War III, breaking a strike. Here's Pete Buttigieg with the CEO and president of Norfolk Southern.
They're pals.
That's buds.
So you got CNN, this guy, he's a Trumper. He's been on there forever. He's always on CNN. But I watch him all the time. I know a lot about him. I didn't know he's a lobbyist for Norfolk Southern. And they didn't disclose that at all when they have him going, speaking about these issues on TV.
Why is he even on? Like, what's he an expert on? Just corruption.
He's
corruption.
He's sort of one of those, I kind of don't support the Trumpy stuff anymore.
Yeah, never
rational
Trump Republican.
If you're a rational Republican,
yeah,
so he'll be a DeSantis guy soon,
Oh, God.
But yeah, so they got a lot of PR out there now because we did call attention to this. We did point out that Buttigieg has been the transportation secretary, and he was warned about all these things. People have been on him before this accident
and he pushed for breaking the
back
strike
laws.
Yeah,
he's a strike buster, as is Biden, which is why they wanted to bury this story even more, because it points out all the flaws within the Democratic Party. The union stuff is bullshit. The safety stuff is bullshit. They're just as neoliberal as the right is. So, but so all the criticism that they're writing these articles like, oh, he's mad at the GOP attacks. Well, no, the attacks are not coming from the right. The attacks are coming from the left.
Yeah.
The valid attacks are coming from progressives.
And yet there is still a group of Democratic loyalists who want to blame the people who live in that city of East Palestine for their being poisoned by this exploding train of chemical cancer.
I think we should show the Joy clip because
sorry, I know I hate to do it to you guys, but it's more of the view, because if you didn't vomit in your mouth enough before when the Lecce Biden was talking about his nurse, we got another clip for you. It's shorter though, so you drink up.
Lay down regulations for a second, because it seems to me that the Republicans are obsessed with this notion of the free market, and they don't like a lot of regulations.
Because it means profit. When you deregulate, you get profit.
But I know.
Part of deregulation,
for example, there were very few plane crashes, thank God. And that's because the industry is highly regulated. We have to pay for regulations and safety standards. Otherwise, where are we? We're all going to go up in flames.
Norfolk Southern gives as much to Democrats as Republicans. It's a very powerful lobby that is trying to block regulation. And this train, to Sarah's point, 2 miles long with 2 full-time employees and a trainee on it.
And they didn't even wipe out an entire, because the last administration rolled it down to only one worker. They happened to have 2.
One thing I just want to say is I do think this was an unforced error by President Biden. It was 20 days before we had Secretary Buttigieg go down, 10 days before he put out a statement acknowledging it. This is Trump country. He won by 40 points. He is a president for all Americans. I believe that, but he needs to show that he is. It was time for him to be.
I don't know why they would ever vote for him, for somebody who, by the way, he placed someone with deep ties to the chemical industry in charge of the EPA's Chemical Safety Office. That's who you voted for in that district. Donald Trump, who reduces all safety. He did in those days.
Showed up at McDonald's and those voters saw something on the ground that probably resonates in a way that they need.
But they need to look past the photo ops, these people, and say, who's doing the job here? Forget about the photo op.
Showing up is a big thing.
Showing up, I think
this is Donald Trump's fault.
I mean, it's so crazy because pretty much Biden is part of that whole revolving door also. I think, oh God, now I'm going to get everything wrong because I forgot about that last part of the clip where he says like who he puts in charge of the regulating body. And we have like 6 of those. I mean, I think we have like, people from the board of Pfizer are now working at the CDC. I mean, like they are constantly doing this revolving door of the people who have been CEOs at these huge companies that demand, deregulation are then put in charge of the committee that works to regulate those companies. And then after they've done their work, they go right back to the, companies where they profit from having spent time in government, where they helped deregulate. Biden does plenty of that also, but to blame people for voting for Trump. I mean, first of all, it's just such a disgusting way to look at people. And we saw that during the beginning of the pandemic, right? Like anybody in a red state who didn't want the vaccination
should have voted for Biden.
Die. Yeah.
If you died of COVID, you should have voted for Biden.
But so what does that mean about everybody who voted for Biden? I mean, honestly, if liberals want that treatment, you wanted World War III, you wanted more drilling on Arctic lands, you wanted the let it rip strategy, you want more migrants in cages, more deportations, you voted for all of that. So good job, fellas.
And I mean, just to stick to the specific issue of the EPA, Biden's EPA is saying the water is safe to drink, but they haven't even tested for real dangerous things. I mean,
new lawsuit says Norfolk Rail's outrageous decision to detonate 1 million tons of cancer-causing vinyl chloride in Ohio created a new chemical warfare gas so deadly it is outlawed by the Geneva Convention. Biden's EPA has not tested for this new gas.
Yeah. And as far as the unforced error, I mean, that's the one part they actually got right. Like Democrats, Trump told them a week before he went out there that he was going to come out there on a Wednesday. He gave them the actual day, I'm going to show up in your city, and nobody showed up. And Pete came days later. 2
days later, he put on a hard hat, walked around like, hello, fellow kids, like that kind of deal. Like he put on his little uniform and jetted out of there doing nothing. And that's exactly right, Hiko. Blame it all on Trump, but won't blame it on the system that allows multi-billion dollars to a corrupt corporation. We're losing badly here. We are. And also, Pat owes you a shot glass. He'll be sending it to you soon.
I have been slacking on sending the shot glass
on camera right now.
Quick, block Kiko from all comments. No more comments from Kiko. Shut him off.
All right, but then we've got Nina Turner coming on MSNBC. I can't believe they let her on, but I'm grateful for it. But here she is.
Nina Turner, you are a daughter of Ohio. I know you've been to East Palestine.
Yes.
Do you think that the administration is doing enough?
No. The state administration is not doing enough. I'm not pleased with Governor Mike DeWine, who actually drunk some of the water, giving people confidence that that water is okay, when in fact that EPA didn't do the deepest dive that they can do to deal with the carcinogens that are there, the air, the water. No, and when I went there, then I saw both fear and anger in the eyes of the people there. I had a local guide. His name is John. He grew up in and around that area, and also Jess. And I got a chance to talk to some of the people. And one lady that I talked to, she said, I never want to see another vehicle carrying chemicals come through my community again. And so while you have some on the GOP side saying less government, you have the residents of East Palestine saying that government is not doing enough. And they have been, not just them, they have been failed by subsequent many administrations. It's not just the Trump administration, it was the Obama administration, now it's the Biden administration. So now we have the facts, they're out there. The NTSB said this could have been avoided. The thing is, what are we going to do to solve the short-term and the long-term needs of the people? And then just one more point. For the neoliberals who say that the residents of that area deserve what they are getting because they voted for President Donald J. Trump, it is abhorrent. This is about poverty. This is about poor working class white people who are enduring some of the same things that poor working class black people endure, whether it's Flint, Cleveland, or Jackson, Mississippi. And so I want to lay it out. The cultist behavior in politics right now, it is a sin and a shame that when people are suffering to this magnitude, you got people who will fix their mouths, to quote my grandmother, to say that they are getting what they deserve. What they deserve is clean air, clean food, clean water. They deserve relief, both in the short term and also in the long term.
Well said.
Amen.
Yep, it's up to the working class, the only revolutionary social force, to shut down this criminal BS, because I agree, it is certainly not happening in government. All right, I feel like we should we move on? I mean, it's so sad. Like they're not doing anything, but I don't think we have much of an update, except I think there were 3 or 4 more train derailments since that one on February 3rd. The latest one was down in Sarasota, Florida, which is where my mother-in-law lives. And they're saying everything's fine. But again, it was like, And
apparently there are like 1,000 a year, a lot of chemical spills every year.
Which
in no way is this, I mean, this is more dramatic because it got attention mostly. I mean, the fireball and the smoke cloud of chemicals when they burned it drew attention to it. But if it just was casually polluting people without that cloud, nobody would know. The city would get cancer. And the photo op of drinking the water is just so ridiculous. Like, I could drink a shot of this bourbon here. It's poison. Bourbon is poison. But if I drank that every fucking day, it's going to kill me. I mean, drinking a lot
Yeah.
every day.
But also, I mean, in that clip where they were drinking the water, I mean, who knows? But you could see in the bottom left, there was a smart water. Like you could see the label of a smart water bottle. So you don't even know if they were actually drinking the water, right? I mean, it's all like, it's show business.
It's theatrics and it shouldn't be allowed. And when you see it, you should call it out as bullshit, because there are people that actually see that little thing and go, okay, great, fine. But most people in the city are not saying that. They're going to see, what are they seeing? They're seeing that Trump showed up. Yep. They're seeing that Pete showed up after Trump. Biden never showed up.
Trump showed up. He passed out water, McDonald's, and blankets. And then there's footage of people walking around in their Trump blankets with water. And of course, they're going to feel like they're in a horrific situation right now. One person showed up. He's gross. Like, I can't stand him. But why don't we have anybody from the Biden administration showing up on the ground, talking about it, talking about what they're going to do, saying, hey, we made a mistake. We should have listened to the railway workers. They were right. They were sounding the alarm. We need more than one conductor on the train. We need more workers. We need to give them more time off. We need to invest the money that these railroad companies are making into maintaining the infrastructure that they use to cart their toxic chemicals around our nation while they are padding their pockets. That money has to go back. Like, there's a way to solve this.
So Pete is already on TV trying to come across as a guy who, if we have more Democrats, will be able to fight the cartel, the railroad cartel. And, you know, you've got these pictures of him. He's chumming it up with these guys. It's all nonsense. He had ample opportunity to put something in place. They have no intention of putting anything in place. They know they can't pass a lot of things through Congress to regulate the industry more, and they love that they can't pass anything through Congress.
Oh yeah, and Pete's already
because
said,
they're taking all this money from the industry.
Right, and he already said that he didn't have power to regulate when he's in fact the only person who could, just by edict, like he could just do it. He could bypass Congress. But he says he wants to send it back to Congress for them to do the work. I do think, I mean, it's hard for me to know. I'm in my own bubble, obviously, but it's so outrageous and it's so bipartisan. And I think the cover up is so glaringly obvious that they were trying to, shun their own responsibility. I mean, I have to think this resonate somehow, although I thought that Roe v. Wade being overturned when we could have codified it over the past 50 years would have been something to wake people up to the the pretend antics of the Democratic Party. Man, I don't know what it's going to take, but people are dying.
Yeah, well, to normie Democrats, the out to them is Trump regulated this. Trump, it was Trump.
Right.
But what they don't see is they don't see that Biden didn't go there. They don't see that. They'll defend it to the death. They'll say, well, it's a photo op when you go there. So, we didn't want a photo op. He's a responsible guy. But what they're missing is that this one issue could be leveraged by Trump. This one single thing could become a huge part of the campaign that happens in 2024. That he showed up, he can point out Obama deregulated, let the plastics through, whatever. All these things really, they're like Democrats are looking at it from their own privileged perspective, not people living there. And it's a swing state. So say Ohio goes red now. You lost a swing state.
Yep. I think they've already written it off. I think that's part of it. I mean, Trump, remember when he didn't want to give money to California because we didn't vote for him in 2016. So when there were all the wildfires, he basically wanted to punish California for that. And that was appalling and disgusting. And that's not the way the president of the United States should ever behave. And Biden's basically doing the same thing. I think if that had happened in California or New York, it might be a different situation. I don't know. I mean, he's, it's not like he's actually helping anybody in any state anyway, but I think there would have been a bigger show maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're Trump, I mean, I hate to point to Twitter so much, but if you're Trump, I mean, you got Biden on Twitter saying Trump should resign because of 200,000 deaths from COVID.
Right.
And then Biden oversees 1 million deaths from COVID. So Trump can literally make the argument that he handled COVID better, which, I mean, not really accurate, but I mean, if
He
you know
definitely
that
did
was
it worse.
but if you know that that's what got Biden elected,
right?
You've
neutralized your one point.
Strength,
Yes.
The thing that got him in there.
Yeah.
So all these things mean a Republican's going to win in 2024.
Yeah. Just like with all of the documents that he shouldn't have taken, right? Like that was another thing that we thought that having classified documents might be the thing. TikTok, Trump's going down, and then Biden has it. I mean, the sexual harassment stuff. I mean, each failure on the part of Democrats and each point of corruption on the part of Democrats just goes against making the case that, like, I don't even know what it matters if a Democrat
all these issues are where progressives have an opportunity, progressive politicians have an opportunity to contrast themselves as the responsible party that would have avoided this thing in Ohio. They would have avoided, they would have handled the COVID better. They would have done, but instead they're going, Biden's pretty good.
He's pretty good. I'm not going to, we'll all stand in line. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you want to show Trump voters or people who are in favor of less government or whatever, why they should vote for Democrats or progressives, you show up, you show them the policies you're fighting for, you show them why they should support government in the model that you are trying to construct. That's what you do. You don't just ignore it and leave a vacuum for some clown reality TV show host to show up and throw a roll of paper towels and a Big Mac at people.
I mean, it's not just a vacuum. He literally said, I'll be there next Wednesday. You have 1 week, and no one beat him to it.
They're like, enjoy your flight. Enjoy.
Have fun. They're like, oh, this is going to backfire because he deregulated. No, you dumb fucks. I mean, he can tell a story entirely different than the truth. It doesn't matter. Yeah. He was there first. That matters to his people and to people there.
And I mean, that is a town that had already voted for him. They were hurt by NAFTA. They were hurt by trade policies that we had. All right.
So why weren't any progressives there? That's what I want to know. Why were no progressives there?
Hey, where was Chantel Brown, by the way, the big progressive that the CPC came out in favor of over Nina Turner? She's from Ohio. Why didn't she show up and hand out some Big Macs or do anything? Literally anything.
Did you see Stacey Abrams was in Africa for fair elections? True story.
By the way, isn't she like a huge Bloomberg supporter? She will save us. Democracy is on the ballot.
All right, let's move on.
I need a shot. I'm all tense again. I was feeling so happy.
Yeah, baby.
This is what we call manifesting your destiny. And yes, you're right. Reflect the Sun. Hillary supported the TPP, first to lose the Midwest since 1980. She was too busy in the Hamptons.
Oops. The TPP really did point out a lot of the problems with the Democratic Party.
Yep.
And it pointed out how the media was embedded with the Democratic Party. When you had like Obama going on, what was the Tonight Show with the new host? I don't know, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, doing his sax, or not the saxophone, the slow roll of the TPP,
slow roll song, the TPP. Oh yeah.
Yep, he did. That's right. Bloomberg gave Abrams a pile of money.
All right, I accidentally poured my shot into
your drink. What are we drinking? Well, I'm doing shots of vodka, and you're doing shots of bourbon, right?
I'm doing Walcott bourbon, available at Total Wine. It's like a.
Oh wow! Now we're just shilling for Total Wine. Okay.
I'm big.
I'd like some of your cut.
Big alcohol.
Big alcohol. Oh my god! This is like my 6th shot. Okay, cheers.
I know. I'm out of my drink, so I might have to have a beer. while we finish this last
It goes
segment.
down really fast when it's the sugar stuff. Oh my goodness. All right.
Now I'm drinking a local beer, Track 7.
Oh, now you
which is
really
delicious,
need to preface it.
and they should seriously spot me some beers. I'm just
I know. I've been like, I'm just gonna say, where is my Sky Vodka endorsement? I'm reading everybody's stuff while I'm trying to make my IC straight. Yes, available at Ralph's. Totally. I mean, Ralph's is another horrible company, but they do have really good. I mean, I don't know where to buy stuff where it's, I guess I should find a local small place, but yeah. Yes, I absolutely drink Russian vodka 100%. It's just a little expensive for me, but yes, I absolutely would.
Is Russian vodka better vodka? Is that a thing? I don't like vodka really.
Really?
Just asking.
I can't believe we're friends.
I want it to go away. I mean, it's good in drinks where it just disappears, but like vodka straight is like disgusting.
I don't drink vodka straight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember what the question was because
I think the question was spin the wheel.
Yeah, let's spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, baby.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Wow.
Just a player in the game, baby. I'm just a player in the game.
Who's calling in to work for
Polish
me
vodka
tomorrow?
is good also. You ready? Okay, now I really am.
I have now that I have a whole bar next to me. It's like
I know it's fun. You brought the party with you.
like, where's my shot glass? I got
Kaylin, we haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. How are you?
Kaylin, cheers.
Cheers. Are you ready? Okay, cheers.
This is to the wait, what's the latest strike? Well, to the French. The French, I want to give it up to the French.
Yeah, boy, do they know how to strike.
They're on like I think there's 6 protests in the streets over Macron basically cutting pensions and
he wants to raise the retirement age, I think, from 62 to 64. And I don't even know what it is in our country, but there's some Republican congressman who just put up a bill. He wants to raise it to 70, the retirement age, 70. Here comes a 60-year career, babe. Let's do it.
But you would think that, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people in the streets would get some attention in the press. But no, obviously they know if they report on any of that stuff, it makes it more likely that we go, you know what? Things are kind of shitty here. Why don't we do something about this?
Yep.
So none of this is covered ever.
Ever. All right. I think we should spin the wheel. Oh my God, we still have a lot to do.
Odds are we get a topic. Did I just say that?
Oh my God. Okay, wait. I'm all caught on my stuff.
This is going to be a rough day at work for me tomorrow.
It's going to be rough. Also, we already did the train records, right?
Did we? Yes. I should remove that. There's no way to manually remove it. So if it hits, I'll just
we'll just move on. We can talk about Mayor Pete again.
We don't have the technology to remove something on the wheel.
It was not worth it at all. Like there's no part of me that is happy about a train exploding and decimating the environment of a whole city. So I don't even want to say like silver lining, but I'm pretty sure that has to have just shot to all hell Pete's chance of being president ever, right?
Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, that's
really,
sorry. I hate to tell you, but no, because they're so effective at controlling the media. The media narrative is he comes on, he's a very good speaker.
He's all right. I feel like they just make him sound like he's good. Like people are like, whoa, snap. Did you hear him on Fox? And the way he always just sounds like such a little unctuous kiss ass who smug. I don't know.
That's his personality. His personality is kind of unlikable to some in that. Like once you realize who he is, you won't like him. But I do think he has sort of that Obama, disciplined response that says sort of the right thing enough. And
Yeah.
he doesn't get challenged by the press is the problem. He's always in a safe place. If you see him on the street get challenged, when we got the videos of him getting asked questions by reporters on the fly, he's awful at that part.
Awful.
Awful.
So we need more of that. Yeah, that one where he's out on a date with his husband and they're asking about
I gave my answer. I gave my statement.
Yeah, I already went there and I already gave my answer.
Yeah.
Mayor Pete. All right. I think we need to spin at 6:15. What are we doing? We got a lot.
Yeah, baby.
I was making a list because I was just feeling so frustrated by all the things that we're expected to hate if it just happens to be from Republicans or people in Florida or Ron DeSantis. But then when, Zelensky does it or Biden does something that Trump did, nobody talks about it. And so we started just talking about like the hypocrisy and how you have to belong to a cult to, when you see Nazis in the US, that is a horrifying picture. The Unite the Right, Charlottesville, and all of those, Trump flags on Trump banners with the Confederate flag and obviously the swastika. But then we see the Nazis in Ukraine should not be designated a foreign terrorist. And there were so many examples of this. We thought it would just kind of be fun to be like, well, when they do it or when we do it. So here's disgusting book burning. The image on the left is a memorial in Berlin. It commemorates the Nazi book burning that took place at that location in May of 1933. The others are from a Florida public school after Ron DeSantis's book ban. Then DeSantis had the teacher fired for posting the images. So those are bookshelves in a school that has removed all of the books that were banned by Ron DeSantis, who's the more gentle Trump or whatever they're trying to
this
say.
is the guy that is the good Republican against alternative to Trump.
Did any books get banned under? I mean, like he's awful, but like there's so many things that they said that were going to happen under Trump that actually are happening now under Biden, which is interesting. Anyway, here is book burning in Ukraine. Those are Russian books that they have decided they no longer need and they're going to burn. And then on the right are a bunch of, liberal apologists who are now all for the book burnings that are happening there. So, remember at the beginning of the war when like Russian opera singers, Russian athletes, anybody Russian was canceled or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that on the bottom there. You can see agreed. Burning books is anathema, but these are not books so much as wolves of oppression camouflaged as sheep-like books.
It's like
so this is like the scary Jews or something. It's like a whole. It's like it's just cult shit. Like you literally have this philosophy that burning books is bad. Period. Here's a guy saying burning books is bad. Period, full stop, absolutely, except for if it's those sniveling bastard Ukrainians.
I mean, again, it's like the whole problem, I think, with liberals is that they don't have any ideology. It is always just lesser evil, not Trump. It used to be not George W. Bush. Right. Now Bush is good. But like, if you don't actually have an ideology that you can describe or discuss with people, where you don't even bring in Republicans. Like I could talk about all of the policies I'm in favor of, and it would have nothing to do with Republicans. Wouldn't even have to mention a Republican. But everything with Democrats is like, that's what they are. And we're like one step better.
And it is lack of ideology. It's like sports. Like, okay, if I'm a Warrior fan, which I am, Draymond Green, he's a bully. He cries to the refs all the time. He does a lot of bullshit. The rest of the league hates him. And they're right to hate him.
Right.
But if Draymond Green joins your team, you're going to love him.
Right.
And that's because it's all about winning, period.
Yeah.
And you can overlook all the flaws because your team is doing well.
Right.
But you shouldn't be on Team Democrat for some bullshit sort of reason. You should have an ideology behind your support.
Yeah.
And for most people, they just think, well, I've decided Dems are better, and they are, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
But that's enough for them. So they just, instead of calling out like the Draymond Green in your party for
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. It's just sports. But, otherwise you should call out the bad players on your team. But they won't because it's sports to these people.
Here is some democracy for you. I just have to point this out. Ukrainian President Zelensky ordered the banning of the nation's 11 remaining left-wing opposition parties. So this is the democracy we are fighting for. Communist Party of Ukraine was banned. All of its assets were seized by the state.
That's normal.
That's, how about,
child
well,
soldiers?
this is hideous.
We're pushing the same
We're both pushing the button at the same time. Okay. Thank you. Horrific, right? This is how it's always written up. Gaza children are being used as soldiers. It's a war crime. However, when it happens in Ukraine, as fighting intensifies in eastern Ukraine, brave children sign up to fight the Russian invaders. We spoke to one girl named Olga, age 12, who tells her story of taking up arms to fight invading Russian troops. Listen, I can understand why you would, horrible. Of course, there should never be a child soldier. There shouldn't be war. But I can understand the framing on some level, right? Even, do you remember at the beginning when, is her name Tamini, the Palestinian girl who slapped the Israeli soldier? And at the beginning of the war, when the invasion first happened, there was a lot of propaganda being put out, right? It was like the ghost of Kiev, and there were all these things. And one of them was the resistance. And there was this brave young girl who was slapping a Russian soldier, and they used that image, and that's what they said. And it was actually an image from 7 years before of a Palestinian girl slapping an occupying Israeli soldier who was never called a hero by anybody in the media because Israel is our friend.
Look, there's so many fluff pieces that are just bullshit. I listen to NPR on the way to work a lot. There's some valid news to get from it, but there's a lot of just propaganda. You can see the propaganda pushed at sort of lefty Democratic people. And they always have these sob stories about the women fighting the wars in Ukraine. And it turned out that the women in Ukrainian armies were getting abused, and it was a very teeny small percentage. But when NPR does a story like this, and the same with the the kids fighting the war, it's this is such a righteous war that they have to do this,
right?
But they make it out to be all the women in Ukraine are now fighting in the war too, and the kids, everybody's grabbed a gun.
Yep.
And it's not the case. And look, there are Nazis on the Russian side. Absolutely. It's the same thing, but we are funding a certain group of the Nazis.
Right.
So that's
right. Exactly.
That's the important part here.
Lots of conflicts in different regions that we do not send hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons and aid to. And as somebody wrote in the comments earlier when we were doing the train wreck, Biden went to Ukraine the same week and gave money to Ukraine to help their pensions, their health care, the same week that he did not go to East Palestine. It shouldn't just be about optics, and it's not, but that's a fucking horrible optic. The president of the United States abandons his own people.
And if you frame this around 2024, if you're looking at it from the Republican perspective,
yep.
If the Ukrainian war is unpopular next year, it's not going to get more popular than it is now. It's going to just get less. Yeah. The longer this goes on, the less popular it is.
Yeah.
So you've got the contrast of Biden being over there, giving them money and pensions. You got our homeless problems here. You got
no health care for our people, and
poisoning your own citizens, no health care.
Yep.
Trump can actually say he handled COVID better. He can attack Biden on how he handled COVID because
and he's calling for peace negotiations, right? He's calling for peace as Biden's trying to start wars with Russia and China. And again, Trump is disgusting. Almost started a war with Iran by killing one of their generals. He bombed Syria with the mother of all. He's a horrible, horrible person. I don't think he's some big pacifist. But when you are coming, when most of America is starting to question why we're sending so much money to this conflict, when leak after leak is coming out that there is no way that Ukraine is going to repossess some of the cities that have been taken over by Russians, definitely not Crimea. And when they talk about how a majority of people in Crimea, even by American polls, say that they feel that they are Russian, they are happy to be part of Russia. When you have China trying to broker some kind of peace, when you have Turkey and France and that being rejected by Biden and NATO, that is, again, it's not a bad look. I mean, it's a horrific situation, but that is going to be used against Democrats. Of course it is.
Yeah, and if all that matters to you as a voter is stopping Trump, that's why you should care about some of the stuff that's happening.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's why progressives
They'll blame us for pointing it out, though. They'll say it's our fault.
But that's why progressives not pointing this stuff out is their flaw, because there's no contrast. You're not giving anyone an alternative. If you're a progressive, you supported Biden's everything that's happening in Ukraine. If you're a progressive,
yeah,
you support his COVID policy. You support us not getting Medicare for all, because if you wanted us to get Medicare for all, you would point out how the pandemic was our opportunity to get Medicare for all.
Yeah.
So I got nothing on it, but our progressives are shitty. They are shitty. Do not.
I really feel like they've done so much damage.
Your faith in these people. Like, I don't want them to go away. I don't want to primary them. We can get progressives in other positions.
Yeah.
But if your strategy is electoral politics to get the changes we need, it's a losing fucking strategy, period. We know this. And there's things I like about Marianne. That's another thing. But I mean, I'm getting way off course here. But
all right, well, let's go back to a couple more things, because I know we're getting late. But here is January 6th insurrection, horrible. But imagine if that insurrection had been funded by a foreign country and was actually successful, the way the CIA backed the far right insurrection in Ukraine, in Maidan, right? I mean, if that had happened here, I can't even imagine if we had found out that Trump and his followers, all those Proud Boys or whatever, insurrectionists, the MAGA crowd, had been funded by the KGB or whatever they are now. Like, I mean, what we are expecting other countries to just swallow because we believe we're the greatest nation on earth.
Yeah, what's that phrase? Good for you. Not, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I think Jesus.
But I mean, we literally, Russiagate turns out to be next to nothing, right?
Yep.
And we ran on that. Democrats ran on that forever as some horrible, usurping democracy.
Why Trump was illegitimate. For 4 years, they said that Trump was illegitimate.
And look, Russia was fucking with things. They always have been. They always will. We always fuck with things in other countries.
Right.
But we are like guilty of like flat out overturning
democratically elected
in countries, like
all the time.
Yeah. The idea that we aren't doing this. But so like the point is, Russiagate was nothing, and it was made into all this stuff. Like if another country did anything to us legitimate, it would be the end of the world. Like we would, it's just so different. The rules for you and me are different if you're American versus every other country.
Even just like China is saying they might be giving weapons to Russia, and the U.S. is aghast. Well, I mean, that's in their interest to help strengthen Russia, right? But going back to the liberals are constantly talking about the big lie and who's pushing the big lie that Trump really won in 2020. And it is a big lie, but so was Putin putting Trump in power in 2016, and Democrats, talk about that nonstop they still talk about it. I don't know. Do we want to keep going? It's already 6:30. We have so many more. About democracy. Here's Georgia Republicans advance omnibus anti-voting bill. Gross. Encourages more mass voter challenges, bans drop boxes, restricts what addresses voters without stable housing can use for voter registration, and more. It is disgusting. Absolutely. There should not be any impediment to allowing people to vote. But then here are Democrats who are kicking the Green Party candidates off of ballots in places where they're worried that they might chip away from Biden in 2020. There was also, what was it, like 130,000 voters in Brooklyn in 2016 primaries were scrubbed from the rolls. Why do you think that they were scrubbed from the rolls?
Yeah, and that was where
Bernie was very popular.
Hillary won the city where Bernie grew up in.
Where 125,000 people couldn't vote, showed up to vote, and their name wasn't there.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I think most people here probably remember it, but remember the CPT joke in New York? Obviously not, because I have to remind you. So in the primary, it's a critical moment where Hillary is getting shellacked by Bernie. She's coming back to New York. It's a must-win state because if Bernie takes New York, she loses. What does she do? She goes on stage with Bill de Blasio and does the CPT joke, which was colored people time. It's a stereotype that Black people are lazy and they are late to things. And she does a CPT joke and says, CPT, I'm late to the show because of CPT time. Congressperson's time. And they laugh.
Hilarious.
Can you imagine going to a must-win state after Bernie is shellacking you and pulling off that joke? Like, the media did everything they can to pretend that didn't happen. But I mean, that is somebody that is confident they're going to win New York.
Yep.
And she won New York. She beat Bernie in Brooklyn, and then 100,000 votes were suppressed. I mean, she had New York in the bag, and
she knew it ahead of time.
She knew it. Yeah.
That's democracy is on the ballot. And we already have calls for, I saw this on Twitter today. I don't even know who that person is. Claude Taylor. I used to think blue checks were like had a thing, but I think he might just pay $8 a month. But no, but I do know who is Claude Taylor anyway? Wants to keep her off the ballot. They're already saying we don't want any challengers. Keep them off the ballot in our great democracy. Okay, we have drilling permits. Biden outpaces Trump in issuing drilling permits on public lands. We have Trump, disgusting. Can you imagine that he would still cavort with and give weapons to the Saudis after Khashoggi was killed? Oops, there's Biden with MBS. I mean, it's just one thing after another. It's so jaw-dropping, the hypocrisy, and nobody cares.
And Biden promised to make him a pariah. He said, I will make his administration a pariah. And there's that video, if you keep playing it, is him fist bumping him. Like, you can, if you're a politician, you can't find a way to not fist bump the guy that you said you would make a pariah.
I'm more concerned with the fact that he gave them billions of dollars of weapons, but I hear you. None of it is good.
Fist bumping. It's because the press is in the bag. Like, they're not going to point out any of this stuff.
Never going to point this out.
The press could take this one issue and hang Biden on it. They could take the train stuff and hang Pete on it. They could do. They have tremendous power because the mainstream media controls all the narrative, and they control all of our Democratic friends who don't know shit about politics are so susceptible to whatever they're told by mainstream media.
And the other thing was, and they brought this up here, but Shireen Abu Akleh who was killed by Israeli soldiers, just point blank killed. They assassinated her, a Palestinian American journalist, and we did nothing. We didn't hold Israel to account on any part of that. We didn't punish them, nothing. And then, of course, we have Biden continuing Donald Trump's footsteps in pursuing prosecution of Julian Assange. So much for press freedom. Keep going.
Oh, I thought you were going.
I'll keep going. Do you want me to keep going?
Let's go. What do we got? What do we got?
Oh, here we got vaccine-only approach. So in 2020, Dr. Tom Frieden said, am I hopeful we will have a vaccine in the coming months? Yes. Do I think this will get us back to pre-COVID reality? No. Vaccines take a long time to get to people, often have stumbles in rollout, and don't protect perfectly. Very important, but won't end COVID. And there's, where has she been, by the way? Walensky, spot on. Combating COVID-19 requires a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach. Masks, the scarlet letter, tests, treatments, vaccine, only available to people with insurance now. Those holding out for the vaccine alone are going to be sorely disappointed. Time to beef up the dimensions we have on hand already.
That was her then. What about now? What do we got now?
I mean, I'm so depressed. Another shot. Yeah, masks off. Basically, masks off. It doesn't matter. None of it matters because Biden's a Democrat. No masks. No masks, no protections. We're ending the state of emergency. I don't know if we're going to get to our COVID section today. So we're ending the state of emergency. How about,
I don't think we're going to get to COVID, but
yeah. But we have a little bit. A year ago, the CDC director said that 400 is a huge number of child COVID deaths. Yet that total has now increased, and this was already from about a month ago, to 1,730 child deaths. And the CDC response is to further weaken recommendations for schools and community mitigation. I mean, do you remember when Trump was president, there was a death ticker on CNN? 100,000 deaths on the front page of the New York Times was an incalculable loss.
And so if you're a news organization and it's important to report the daily total, which it is, and you get rid of it because it's Biden and Democrats, that's wrong. But 1 million is not news. 1 million people in the US dead from COVID is not news. That's a little suspicious. Like 1 million people doesn't make a blip on the radar of the news.
Well, and right away they started trying to do, remember they trotted out their toady, Leanna Wen, who said that probably it's been overcounted, which of course is a lie. It's not been overcounted. And in fact, they now think that cases at least have been undercounted.
Way undercounted.
Yeah, way undercounted. All right, what do you think? Should we, I feel like we need a timeline cleanse or something just to get us in a good place. What should we spin the wheel? What are we doing?
Let's timeline cleanse and sit back. What do you got? You uploaded some video, right?
All right. I mean, I'm going to show, this is a comedian I really like. Here's Drew Michael talking about closed captioning, and I'm going to run to the bathroom.
It's a weird disability. It's a weird thing because like even the things that are made to help you, people are a little resistant to. You know, like I watch movies at home with closed captioning on. That's how I watch them. I've always watched them like that. But when I was younger, I never said anything about it because I didn't want to call attention to myself. I don't want to be different. I was self-conscious, you know. The first time I brought it up, I was in college, and my roommate was like, "Hey, we're gonna watch a movie. You want to watch a movie?" So I was like, "Yeah. Do you mind if you turn on the closed captioning?" I like a hearing thing, you know. And he was, figured he's my friend. He'd understand, and he casually looked at me and said, "Oh." He was just like, "Oh, come on, dude. It sucks. It ruins the movie. Can't we just turn the volume up louder? It's the same." Here's the thing about that. It's not the same, okay? It isn't. It's a clarity thing. Like, if it was the same, I would just ask for that. That's an easier solution. Second of all, I'm not sure that you're allowed to say no. Isn't this like, what, is there a law? Like, aren't I entitled to, this is what they're for, motherfucker. Like, turn them on. Like, I'm the guy. Like, what do you think they're there for? To fuck with you? For the people at the gym? No, I'm the guy. Like, they invented this shit for me. Like, I'm it. You look at the back of the box on the DVD, there's like a little ear. It's closed. That's my fucking ear. Turn them on. That's a picture of my shitty ear, you psycho. Why? No other disability would this be like, dude, it's like, dude, if your friend was in a wheelchair and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if you take the ramp?" Would you be like, "Oh, come on." The ramp, it's all the way on the other side of the building, dude. The normal door is right here. It's 3 steps. It's 3 steps. Can't you crawl? Aren't your arms supposed to be stronger? You still get up there. It's the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Turn on the closed captioning, man. I want to see when acoustic music is playing.
What do you think? I like him. He makes me laugh.
I like the end with the acoustic music because I can relate to that. I'm always because I watch a lot of closed captioning and because when I watch a foreign language movie, it's the easiest way to sleep. This is my sleep hack, just for people watching. Because your eyes get tired before your eyes once your eyes tune out because you get sick of reading.
Yeah,
you fall asleep. That's what happens with me.
That's something I didn't know about you. You don't like vodka and you like to fall asleep to foreign movies.
It's a hack.
Like we're making some breakthroughs here. All right. What do you think?
I think people want to wrap the show up. I
think we've held you all here for long enough.
I think an hour and a half hostage is good enough.
It's good. Well, we will definitely get to COVID next week. Do just want to put this quick graphic up there just in case anybody had any questions. See, it's good to get infected because it gives you immunity. Why would I want immunity? To protect from getting in. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Put on a mask. Stay safe. Keep punching up. Enjoy your cocktails.
Yeah. Wear a mask, please. I mean, it's not a big deal. Just wear a look, if you're going to go to a bar, you don't want to wear a mask. I get it. People at a bar are out there being social. There are going to be people that aren't worried about it. Just whatever. But if you go to a hospital, if you don't wear a fucking mask to a hospital, just fucking unfollow me and fucking kill yourself. That's my advice to you.
And they're going to black out our show on YouTube. Anyway. Hey, this was super fun. Thank you all for joining us. Cheers. Keep punching up. See you guys next week.
That is not the outro. Here's the outro.
Oh my God. I already took my edible. I didn't know what was going on.
Uh-oh.